All right, today we're going to be attempting question 412 of Leetcode. This is a pretty easy problem. I just want to kind of explain it and, go ahead and solve this problem here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so given an integer n, return a string array answer one indexed where, and then we have a bunch of rules. By the way, one index just means because the index positioning, so you need to know a little bit about programming over here obviously. But anyways, so one index basically means where the starting position of index starts at one. So basically, uh, regularly with index position, the index position starts at zero and then you go forward. So then you'd have one, two, three, four, and so on, right? So basically, the index position, the starting position of index is zero. But when you say one index, that means that the starting position, instead of it being zero, is going to be one. And we see these in the example test cases here, right? So in here, we have a number of three. And with that three, we're starting our position out at one because you can see here in our final rule it says that the answer and then putting in the parentheses and then I. So this syntax over here, excuse me, is basically saying that I is the index, right? You should know this if you know basic Python, right? Python syntax. um, and so basically you have this answer and then you have this index, and it's basically saying that if none of these conditions are true, right? We have these conditions. If none of these conditions are true, then we're gonna give for that specific list, we're gonna give the index back, but as a string. So you can see that's why it's not a string. So you can see that this is the starting position. So if we were not one indexed, it would actually start at zero, not one. But since we are one index, it starts at one. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a little bit about the way that our index positioning is working. Okay, so now to do this, we're going to need to use a for loop. So I'm going to say for, and I'm going to say number in range of n, because n is the integer that we're using. And for now, I just want to print out the number. So each time we iterate, we're going to get a number. So let's go ahead and run this. The test results are going to be wrong. I just want to see the print over here. So yeah, here we go. You can see the output is null too because this is in a function, so we have to return it. It expects a return. But anyways, over here you can see that this is starting off if the index was zero indexed or defaultly indexed, right? But since we're one index, what we actually want to do is here with num, we want to give it um just one extra, right? So if we run this now, you can see that now we're one index because the first index position num is just representing the index position. You can see that it starts at one, and then it goes to two, then it goes to three. Cool. So now what we need to do is let's go ahead and first of all have an output ready. So we'll have an output ready, which is just going to be just a simple a list. And what we're going to do now is we're going to check for these if conditions. We're going to have to use if and else ifs, right? Because all of these are dependent on each other. Like, for example, if this doesn't work, then it would have to be, it could be this. It's not have to, it could be this. But if again, it's dependent, right? This is not, it's not standalone. Like this function is not, sorry, this if statement is not standalone. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, so now what we're going to say is if the number, which is just representing the index again, I'll use I to make it a little bit more easier, right? So then so if index, we're just saying index, so if it's divisible by 3 and 5, so divisibility can be seen with the modulus function. And, sorry, not or. Sorry, that was JavaScript. Then what we're going to do is we're output.append. We're going to append. It's going to append at that specific place, right? And we're gonna append fizzbuzz. Now, otherwise, so elif, if it's divisible by 3, right? And it makes sense to do this afterwards, because if it was divisible by 3 and divisible by 5, if we put this statement above here, is going to give this fizz instead of fizz buzz, because it is divisible by 3, but it's also divisible by 5. So if you have more conditions, right, the more conditions you have for your if statement, put it the higher up, like higher up in the hierarchy of these functions, right? Okay, I just want to do a little bit of formatting here. There we go. And so here we're gonna say output dot append, and it's gonna be just fizz, simply fizz. Now otherwise, all we have left is 5. So let's go ahead and do that, and then output dot append, and in this case it's gonna be buzz. And then otherwise, if none of these are true, then we're simply going to append the string version. That's why we're using the str, that's typecasting it, the string version of I. And then now, all we can do is if I go outside of this for loop, because for loop should be done by now, we'll return our output, because remember, it's expecting a list of strings. So if I run this now, okay, so I have made a spelling error. That's my bad. There you go. So now if I just go ahead and submit this, perfect. So you can see mine's beats 100%. So that's crazy. But the memory is very, very bad. So my runtime is really, really good, but then my memory is really, really bad. So yeah. Let's see some editorials. Solutions actually. Uh, okay, so they use the same thing. They did the same thing as me. Um, let's see Python 3. Okay, so everyone's basically kind of doing the same thing as me. Um, okay. Well, anyways, that's cool. Yeah, that's it. So that is FizzBuzz for 12. So let's go ahead and add this to my Leetcode solutions here. Go for 12.py. It is 412, right? Yeah. Now let's commit these changes. And perfect. There we go.